Hey, everybody, welcome back to episode 2 of the Marriage Puzzle Podcast. This is Julie and Thomas Hobby, and today we're excited to dive in and tell you about our story.
Our love story.
I refused to say that, so that's why she had to say it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, why don't you tell us then? Tell everybody how we met.
so we met working together a long time ago. It was probably like 50 years ago or something. No, it was, I was just out of high school. I think I had just graduated and you were about to graduate, something like that. And we met working together at a place called My Gym, Children's Fitness Center.
Shout out.
It was a kids gymnastics facility, and basically we just got to hang out with kids all day and play and have fun and just play games and things like that. And so we both ended up working there. I was working there first, and then I actually remember receiving a voicemail at the gym from a member who attended, who called and left a message for the owner at the time and said, hey, I've got this girl who nannies for me. You need to hire her. Otherwise, you're going to be really missing out on something. And I had
It worked.
I guess. I mean, I had no decision-making power in that. And so I...
But it's kind of ironic that you were the one that got that voicemail
Yeah.
about me.
Yeah. And, I remember writing down the message and passing it along to the owner and being like, hey, this person called and was like, we need to hire this person. So whatever you want to do. And
Thanks.
and so then I don't know how much longer it was after that, but apparently you interviewed at some point and got the job, and then we started working together.
It was right after I could drive, so I was 16.
Yeah,
I was 16, and I'm glad I got the job because then I met you.
Yeah. I mean, if she had not made that phone call, and if I would have just deleted the voicemail,
right,
our entire lives would be completely different.
Our future was in your hands.
You might feel better about that these days than you did back then.
No, I'm
that
happy
Thomas
it
was a
worked out.
mess, but
No, actually, when I met you, so we worked together a lot. Even though I was 16, it was the summer when I started working there, and then even with my high school, I had a lot of flexibility. I didn't go to public school, so I worked a lot. We did a lot of evening things and weekends, and so working together so much, we got to know each other really well, because you were just a big kid. Like, in that working environment, it wasn't a desk job. Like, we just got to
I mean, technically I was only 17 at the time, so I still was a kid according to society.
Yeah. But I actually thought you had a girlfriend when I met you. I chalked that up to I think it was your cousin who like came in. She was visiting from out of town, so she gave you this really big hug and was so happy to see you. And so I was like, okay, he's taken. Then I found out that was your cousin, so that was weird. And then
hold on, don't say that was weird, because that's that implies different things when you're talking about your cousins and it being weird and things like that. It's
now that I understand, it was cute.
It wasn't any weird stuff going on with cousins.
No.
So,
and then you also had a car seat in the back of your car, so I didn't know what that was because you were like 17 and didn't know if you had a kid.
I did not.
That turned out to be your sister.
Clarify that as well. I did not.
Your little sister.
Yeah, she was probably 4 at the time. And so, so I didn't have a kid. I had a little sister. You made a lot of assumptions about me when we first
I know. I think because I liked you so much, I was trying to make up things to not like you. Not fall in love with you.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And, there was a day that I remember, like the first day that I was probably like, now I see her. Because, we worked together and things like that for a while. And I mean, I don't even know how long it was between when you started working there and this day that I'm about to talk about. But I remember one day I was working and you weren't. and you showed up to pick up your paycheck. And you had just gotten out of church or something. You were wearing a really fancy
It wasn't
in my
fancy.
eyes. I don't know. I mean, it was a church dress. So
Makes you sound so conservative,
But-
but fancy.
it was like smoking. And so I didn't notice I didn't notice that it was you walking up at first. All the windows were glass, and I was working with a buddy, and I was like, hey, check out that girl that's walking by. And then she comes in, and I'm like, oh, she's coming in. And then I'm like, oh, it's Julie. She works here. I was like, oh, that's
Oh.
Julie. Like, and so, in all fairness, I had not seen you in anything besides
A t-shirt,
a uniform, like an
yeah, it was
employee
like
uniform
a
at the time. Like,
t-shirt and yoga pants or basketball shorts or
Right.
something.
yeah. So I remember that day very vividly.
Is that when you fell in love with me?
Um,
Just from what I was wearing.
I don't know. It was probably, the start of it for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
I think that's
probably when I first started drooling over you.
Yeah, it kind of, because I think for a while it's hard to pinpoint our first date, if you will, because we would kind of like need to eat lunch or
But yeah.
dinner.
So we would
sometime
eat
we would
together
go
a lot.
out at a restaurant just as coworkers, but then things started shifting and fairly quickly. Even though we were young, we fell hard for each other.
Yeah. Yep. So, fast forward a little bit, we continued working together, and then we decided to move in together. I had to wait for you to graduate high school.
I was a baby.
And so as soon as you graduated high school in 2005, we were out. We said, see ya. And we left and moved a few hours to South Florida. We were in Orlando at the time. We moved to South Florida and moved in together. And, that had its ups and downs, of course, because, trying to be in a committed relationship and manage money together, but we weren't married, and like there were just definitely some bumps in the road during that
I don't know
season.
if I recommend it yet or not.
Right.
We didn't do it any other way to know the pros and cons of moving in together or not moving in together before marriage. But
Right.
I actually still remember, I don't know if you remember this, I haven't told you, like our funniest fight in our first apartment together. Do you remember? What? I don't even know what we were arguing or fighting about. All I remember is that it ended with a shaving cream fight. And it was like the shaving cream, like the gel, so it could shoot really far.
I
And
remember-
I don't know who started it or who was trying to get it, but I just know we made a mess.
Let's
and then
be
we
real,
just
I
started
probably
laughing.
started it.
Yeah.
I do remember in that
We were
fight
just laughing at the end.
that I sprayed you with the sprayer from the kitchen sink.
Yeah, that's probably how
That's probably how
started.
it started.
Maybe I got the shaving cream.
Yeah.
then.
Oh, you definitely got shaving cream because you ran and hid in the bathroom, and then when I came to find you, you sprayed shaving cream in my eyeball,
So
and yeah, so it turned
my-
from
my-
funny to violent
my
really
point
fast.
is even though we were young and we've been married for 15 years now, we've learned a lot on how to not fight like that.
That was our one and only
Yeah.
shaving cream fight.
No more. I think if the shaving cream comes out again, it's not for an argument. So I guess that was summer of 2005 after I graduated. And then we actually got engaged on Christmas Eve of that year at that apartment, actually. So you want to tell the proposal story?
Sure.
Every girl listening is going to want to know
Yes.
your romantic
So fancy.
proposal.
So fancy. Yeah. So I was smarter back then to some extent because I had paid attention to what her ring size was
Yeah,
and the
actually.
cut that you wanted of diamond and everything like that. So you didn't even know. I had gone and picked the whole thing out, I believe.
No, I didn't know.
And I had taken care of all that. And then I don't remember when I actually brought the ring home, but I had the best hiding spot for the ring, so you weren't going to find it. I just hid it under our couch.
Our living room couch.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that on Christmas Eve, the reason it was Christmas Eve is because we had moved away 3 hours south of all of our family. We woke up Christmas Eve and pretended it was our Christmas morning, just the two of us. And so,
yeah, because we had to drive.
Yeah, we went back to Orlando,
visit with
Christmas
family.
Eve, but. So yeah, I think you had me close my eyes and then.
Oh yeah. We
you
got
just
through all the gifts.
Got it out underneath the couch.
Said, oh yeah, I have one more. And I told you to close your eyes, and then I dug it out from under the couch, dusted all the lint off and everything like that, and then told you to open your eyes, and I was already on one knee, and then I don't even think you let me ask the question.
Oh, really?
Before. Yeah.
I don't remember. That's the sad part.
Wow.
I know.
It was so impactful. She doesn't even remember it.
You said something very sweet, but I saw the ring and I said yes. So I was very happy. No. I think I hugged you before even putting it on and everything. And then you're right. It was perfect, like fit. And I think some girls have to go get it sized and everything. He did pay attention to so many details that I appreciated. And so I was ready to flaunt it off. And we drove 3 hours back to my family's house, expecting everyone to be so excited that we were finally engaged, especially because we were already living together. But I think that their reaction actually, because I had a promise ring from you. That was early on in our story. You had given me a promise ring when we were dating, which was just a band. Then adding my engagement ring, I guess, made it look like we had already gotten married.
Yeah.
And so that kind of threw the family. Instead of them being excited, we had some explaining to do.
Yeah, I think they because they thought we had already gotten married, they felt like there was a step that they had missed somewhere in there. But I think part of that was also that if they thought we were actually married, then they knew they were stuck with me at that point. They didn't have any other chance to kind of get me out of there. So
they love you now. They love you now. And they did come around by our wedding.
Our wedding-ish, probably.
Yeah, so we did end up getting married. So we got engaged Christmas Eve, 2005, and then got married 9 months later, September of 2006. So that's why this September will be our 15-year wedding anniversary. And when we got married, it was actually the exact day of our 2-year anniversary of us being a couple. So that's why we picked that date. It was very special to us.
Fellas, get smart. When you're picking out your wedding day, pick out a date that matches up with another date. That's what I did. We picked out our wedding date based on the same date that we started dating so that I didn't have to remember 2 dates for no reason. So think about that. That's free advice. Take that, fellas.
I think it was a thought, and it worked out that way, and it ended up being it was a Sunday, and it was the day before Labor Day, so our venue was actually cheaper being on a Sunday. But now our anniversary always falls around Labor Day, and it's a great weekend to celebrate.
And bonus points, don't have to remember a dating anniversary and a wedding anniversary.
One more time.
It's all the same thing.
What if they're already married and it's too late for that advice?
Well, can't do anything for you. But for
think
anybody
of these things later.
Not married, then make sure you pay attention to that.
Marriage tip for future engaged couples. Hopefully we have engaged couples listening to the Marriage Puzzle podcast. And if we do, tell us about it, because we want to know. We might even put that out on social media contest, like every month, kind of what your anniversary month is, or if you're engaged and to be married. We'd love to
shout you out.
I know. I was going to say, you can't go to their wedding, but be a part of it somehow.
Hey, maybe we'll get invited to some weddings.
That'd be really fun.
Wouldn't that be cool if we just impacted some people's lives so much that they tracked us down and invited us to their wedding? Hang
out with the DJ, grab a mic. But our wedding was really, really fun. I know I'm biased, but people still say that. So, family, friends said it was the best, the most fun, I think is what they said. Most fun with our dancing and stuff. But we didn't even have alcohol because we weren't even 21.
That's true. I mean, either our wedding was really fun or they've been to some really bad, boring weddings. It could go either way.
True.
But depends on which side of it you
And
look
weddings
at it
have
from.
changed a lot in the last 15 years. So, again, we want to hear about your story. If you've been starting to listen to this and if you've been married for 15 years like us, longer, shorter, or to be married, or maybe you're single and just want to know stuff before you find the right one. So let us know.
Yep. And I don't know if you guys have been doing the math along the way, but, like Julie said, we weren't 21 when our wedding happened. We couldn't have alcohol at the wedding. I mean, I guess we could have technically.
We just didn't want to pay for it if
yeah.
we couldn't drink it ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And so, so with that, that lets you know that I was 20, she was 19.
19. Did you? You had to think about it.
I was thinking I might say she was 16 or something like that,
Oh.
because then, it would imply that you were younger than you really are, but that would have been weird. So that's
It's a
why
creeper.
I paused, and I didn't want we had already
Okay.
talked about the age back then, so they knew that wasn't possible.
This is a very
but-
unedited podcast, in case you're wondering. We just hit record and go for it.
Yeah,
so,
we just do this in one take.
It's
So
like our date nights for the week. But
yeah. So
so
I
yeah,
got to marry a
I
teenager.
was 19 and he was 20. And so, yes, if you do the math, you know how old we are today. But some days I feel young still, and some days I feel really old. So I
What
don't
day is
know.
today?
Well, we have kids now, so they kind of tend to make me feel older. So yeah, within 15 years of marriage, if you haven't seen already on Facebook or Instagram at Marriage Puzzle, we have twin 7-year-old boys, and a 2-year-old daughter. So, waited a few years before we had kids, which was our choice, and it actually worked out well because then we were blessed with 2 at the same time. Total surprise to us, spontaneous twins. And then we were so busy with them, we waited 5 years even after them to have another one, and now she's 2. So we love them, but they keep us busy. So today I'm feeling more on the older side than younger, in my mid-30s.
Mid-30s. I think. I mean, I guess technically that's mid-30s. You
We
might
are
be able
mid-30s.
to. You might be able to say that you're technically still in your early 30s.
I'm in my early 30s, and
Early to
you just hit your
mid-30s.
mid-30s, so
Yeah.
it's all good.
So, yeah. So yeah.
But that's just a little part of our story.
Yeah,
We
there's a
have
lot
lots-
more. I mean,
lots
well,
more.
it's obviously just a little part. We flashed forward through 15 years of our story. So yeah, you guys are going to have to keep coming back, and we'll keep adding some stuff in there, and keep bringing you up to speed on our story. We won't bore you to death with our story. We'll only tell you the highlights, just so you get to know us a little bit, and learn a little bit about us as we continue to go through this podcast. As we said in the first episode, which if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, go back and listen to it. We're almost at the end of this one now, but go back and listen to that episode, and make sure that you know a little bit about why we're doing the podcast, and that we're just going to tell you a little bit more about us, so that you can learn who we are and learn why you might be able to gain something from us throughout this podcast. Our goal here is to just put our story out there, because we've got 15 years of experience. That doesn't make us experts, but if that helps anybody along the way, then that's all we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think the first episode is like 15 minutes.
I think so, yeah.
If you don't have 15 minutes, but you have 2 minutes, you can also read the why behind Marriage Puzzle on our blog. It was our first blog post on June 1st, because blog post comes out on the 1st and 15th. But I did do a Marriage Puzzle, the why behind that, on June 1st. If you read it, it's a 2-minute read. Because in there, I didn't even get to say this on our first episode of the podcast, that we feel like we're in the middle, of the marriage puzzle. So we have figured some mess out along the way, turning puzzle pieces over, trying to fit them in. whether we did it right or wrong, and what we've learned, and that's what we get to share. And then we know that our puzzle's not done. Our puzzle's not finished. We have still lots of years left of our marriage, and more messy and beautiful things to come. So we just invite you along the journey with us as we share our stories to help you through yours. And so yeah, where can they find us?
Yeah, so make sure that you're hitting subscribe on this podcast. Whatever place you're listening to your podcast, go ahead and subscribe so you see that new episodes come out. New episodes are going to come out every week on Mondays. That's when we're going to be releasing them. Make sure you find us on Facebook and Instagram. Search for @MarriagePuzzle. And then make sure you check out our website, marriagepuzzle.com. Like Julie said, we've got blog posts that are going to be coming out there on the 1st and 15th of every month. You can also sign up for our email newsletter. We'll be putting out emails to kind of remind you when podcasts are coming out and things like that. So make sure you go find us on all of those areas. If this is the first time you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much for joining. We hope that you're going to stick around for a long time. We hope that you're going to gain some stuff out of this as we continue on. Make sure you give us a rating on the podcast. That would be great. That just helps us to get out to more people. And feel free to share the podcast on your social media. We'd love to have that. Again, we're just trying to get out there and reach as many people as we can, so that, more people can join us for this journey. But yeah, that's where you can check us out.
And as always, we look forward to you joining us next week, where together we'll work on marriage one puzzle piece at a time.
See you later.